Hello everyone and welcome back to Bacon! Also, welcome back to the Cinderella phenomenon, and I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know that there will be some itty bitty kitty sneezes because my old lady who turns 14 next month is having some sneezing problems. Unfortunately, it's not anything that the vet can do about it. There's only so much the antibiotics can do. No, she is not dying. It's a perpetual thing she's had since she was a kitten, unfortunately. Now that you've been warned about the possibility of lots of random little noises, let's continue with the rest of the chapter, shall we? Days go by before I decide to leave the tavern again to watch Karma practice with the knights. These last few days I felt hollow. Maybe seeing the normal practices will help me feel better. Maybe it will make things feel like nothing has changed. When I arrive at the forest, however, only Karma is standing in the clearing. He's staring through the trees as if he sees something there, but his expression is solemn, almost sad. Eventually he sighs, shaking his head before turning in my direction. Lucette! I prepare myself for a response but find that no words come to mind. I have not spoken to Karma since the talk about mother and witches, and any of the ease I felt with him before has slipped away. Still, I came here on my own and I cannot just stand here being mute. I say the first thing that comes to mind. Where are Jurian and Garland? I'll only train with Garland. Jurian is on patrol duty tonight. He'll be here later. I just came early. It seems you did too. Lucette, are you okay? I'm sorry I haven't been by to see you. It's not as if you owe that to me. I don't owe it to you, but I truly wanted to. I've just been busy these last few days scouting the town for information. As much as I want you to come with me, why would you ever have wanted to pair up with someone like me anyway? Why, princess, that's because I am bitter and cold, and even though I want to change, all I can think about is myself. But now, I want to change because I do not want to be the same as my mother. Isn't that selfish? Maybe so, but I believe you are being selfish for the right reasons. An entirely selfless person can't survive in this world. Before we can make others happy, we have to be happy ourselves. I actually agree with that statement. Happy. Ourselves? Yes, an angry person holds resentment toward everyone, and it mars whatever good deeds they seek to do. That is why I cannot complete my good deeds. Wrong, you've already got one done. Recognizing a need for change is always a good thing, Lucette. Regardless of the motivation, you are trying to become a better person. That is what matters. Oh, hello. He takes a step toward me, then puts his hands on my shoulders and leans down until I can look right into his eyes. Karma's serious expression startles me as much as his touch. I've already been through this. I mentioned in the last episode that I went through this entire chapter, then lost the video for it, and only had the audio and had to redo this, but I forgot that he does that because I have a goldfish brain. I was still like, oh, hello there. You've gotten a slight bit closer, Mr. 2D man. It is never too late for anyone to change. You taught me that. What? How could I have taught Karma anything? You mind if I tell you a story, Lucette? And I know that the right choice is this one. I take a step away from him and Karma's hand falls from my shoulders. He sighs out. The story better be just as dramatic as mine. Thank you, Lucette. For what? For agreeing to listen. And for what you did just then. Stepping away from him? Was I distracting him? That is, I said this the last time, I'm going to say it again. That is kind of sus, sir. A little bit sus. Once upon a time in a land far, far away, there lived a crown prince from a kingdom called Brigantia. Brigantia is one of the neighboring kingdoms, so this isn't make-believe? His name was Claude Adric Rinaldi Matthias Almont, but because the name was such a mouthful, he settled for an acronym as a nickname, at least around the palace where it was acceptable. Claude Adric Karma? Prince Claude was a man who flaunted his beauties and talents to all that he met. He often used his title to get what he wanted. Prince Claude was a selfish man who felt he was entitled to everything that he had. He was vain and often left his castle unattended so that he could avoid his responsibilities. Then, one day, he chanced upon a beautiful maiden in the town square. He led her around the whole day, being as charming as he possibly could. And then at the end of the day, he asked the woman to be his lover. She agreed, but their time together did not last long. Only weeks later, Prince Claude threw her away as one throws away an object and broke the woman's heart. And she cursed him. That beautiful maiden was a witch, but Prince Claude found out too late. The witch said she would make his beauty, his vanity, a curse. To make even beauty a curse. Ashamed of being cursed, Prince Claude donned a disguise and left his kingdom behind. He has been gone for nearly a year now, and most probably assume he is dead. But in truth, the prince had come to Angie, seeking a way to break its curse. Let me try that city name again. Angiel. Angiel. Okay. I think now that I've seen it enough times, and it's not as weird to me anymore, I think I can properly say it now instead of giving it a nickname. He had heard of a young lady named Lucette who, on her 18th birthday, could dispel any curse. Karma. He looks so sad. I don't know how to comfort him. Claude? Oh, that still gets me. He's so cute. Karma. Claude turns a startling red as he stares at me, and for a few moments he does not speak. Then he bursts out laughing. I stare at him in shock, not understanding his reaction. I feel myself flush. Isn't that your real name? No, darling, it is, but hearing you say my name, well, it sounds so much softer out of your lips. I rather like it. My cheeks are warm again. How is it that he is always able to make me feel this way? I will call you by that name if it makes you so happy. Let's make it a secret between the two of us. I'm still Miss Karma here. Besides, I'd rather you kept that name for my ears only. It makes me feel more special that way. More special? At that moment, Garland shows up for practice, and Claude politely excuses himself. I watch the two of them trade blows. Claude favors his other hand, but his blows still come quickly, even with his injury. The more Claude tells me, the more I realize that he's like me, a noble curse for being selfish. But how do I help break his curse? Why can't he tell me? As practice is drawing to a close, Claude asks Garland the usual question. Have you confessed to Jurian yet? Garland only shakes his head in reply. The two men sheath their swords. Garland looks almost sad as he turns to make his way back to the tavern. He likes her, and yet he won't say anything. Why is that frustrating me so much? Garland? Yes, princess? And I very enthusiastically chose this one when it came up. Like, I didn't even have to think twice. Claude told me before that confessing is hard, but what Garland is going through looks even harder. Princess, you know I'm incapable. No, you think you're incapable. If you never say anything to her, you'll never know. If I say something wrong, I risk losing everything that I already have with her. And if you say nothing, you risk losing what you could have with her. Lucette is right. Gonna save. Maybe you should really tell her, Garland. But before, Claude was adamant that Garland shouldn't confess to Jurian. What changed? If I mess this up... Let's try looking at it through another lens. Imagine that Jurian is Lucette. How do you think she would like to be confessed to? I frown at the two men, arms crossed. Excuse me? Well, you and Jurian are very similar. You're both very straightforward. Confess to the princess? Aw, cute little mobster-looking boy. My eyes move to Claude, but only fleetingly, before they are once again on Garland. You just need to do something simple, Garland. Something that will not rub her the wrong way. A maiden's heart is ever fragile, and each woman is different. Claude is wearing an amused smile on his face, but he is looking at me, not Garland. I feel my face flush and have to look away. Lucette, your tomato red again. It's adorable. I cross my arms over my rapidly beating heart again and force a scowl on my face. No, I was just thinking about what Garland could do. Something simple. Like when Karma kissed my hand, Garland kissing Jurian's hand is probably not a good idea. Maybe he could do what Claude and I did that one day in town. He can just buy her some food and they can just talk. Garland, have you ever just asked Jurian out for food? I say just a lot. Just is a word that also gets used a lot. Not alone. Jurian is practical and she always eats at the tavern. Almost said the cavern. She's always on duty if she's available. She's also always on duty if she's available. I'll take her patrol 2 shifts from now then, and tomorrow you can ask her out for a meal. We can make your invite a grand affair. We can drape banners on the walls, or I could give you a rose. That sounds like a terrible idea. I am offended. I feel like if I did something like that for Jurian, she would get embarrassed and punch me. Sounds like another lady that I know. Claude grins at me, but I just roll my eyes. Garland, just ask her normally, and then when you are out and alone together, you can confess. And we'll make sure you have the time to do it. I'll purposely come late to practice tomorrow night so you can ask her out for that date. How does that sound? You two really think I can do this? You just have to ask the question. Whatever follows will at least be an answer. Tomorrow night, then. Good man. I'm sure it will go swimmingly. Or I could drown. You won't drown, Garland. Garland excuses himself with a nervous smile before Claude turns to me expectantly with a mischievous grin. Now, Lucette, we'll come here early tomorrow and spy on them. We need to scope out a good spot. Spy on them. Of course, we need to make sure that our efforts pay off. I'm not gonna lie, I was cackling the first time I read this. Oh, it's still funny though. I don't think we should. Thank you, Lucette. You don't want to see how it plays out? I immediately shake my head, unable to put my emotions into words. For some reason, I am imagining myself in Jurian's position. It feels too personal. Claude's likeliness suddenly springs to mind, and I feel my face grow hot again. I don't know if she means like his face, but he's standing right in front of her, or like his actual level of likability. So that is just a tiny bit confusing to me. Like, even though she's standing right in front of him, she's turned away and his face flashes in her mind anyway, and that's the reason why she starts to blush, or the other thing. I guess it doesn't matter. Lucette, you've been oddly out of it today. Claude reaches out a hand toward me, then abruptly pulls away. I stare as he smiles at me almost sheepishly. The conversation between us dies and we return to the march-in. Days passed, and though I did not spy on the conversation between Jurian and Garland, I noticed that Garland has been smiling from ear to ear during his practice with Claude recently. I can only assume that his confession went well. Claude took the patrol shift tonight, and as I lie in bed, I am restless. Every time I watch Claude practice with Jurian and Garland, I'm reminded of the palace, of Fritz. I wonder how Fritz is doing. Is he practicing with the other knights? My thoughts darken as I recall the kidnappings. Claude had to save me every single time. He got injured saving me. Unable to sleep, I slip out of bed and make my way to the reception room. The night air is cool and no one stops me from standing just outside of Marchin. I cannot just sit back and do nothing anymore. I have to act! I do not want Claude to get hurt because of me again. Eventually, I see Claude approach. He looks tired and is moving more slowly than usual, but when he sees me, his lips quirk into a smile. Lucette, what are you doing out here tonight, love? Love instead of darling. That's new. Hello, Claude. Heh. His face is dark red again. If you're using my real name, I suppose you've come to ask for something serious. How could he know that? I do need to ask something of you. Well, if you need a shoulder to cry on, I'm right here, love. What? Oh, is this not about... Never mind. I'm asking if you will be my instructor. For some reason, I seem to have caught Claude off guard. He stares at me for a few moments. What? I want to learn how to use the sword. Claude's expression becomes uncharacteristically serious. I'd rather you didn't learn how to use the sword. I do not want you to have to keep protecting me. I don't mind protecting you. I do. Claude sighs and shakes his head. Princesses shouldn't be using swords. I want to be able to stand on my own 2 feet. You are. I do not want you to get hurt again when I could do something about it. Teach me, please. Claude. That is some straight up manipulation right there, and it's adorable. Once again, he flushes. It seems to be an instant reaction, and it is both amusing and endearing. Now, normally I'm not for manipulation, because I think under most situations manipulation is wrong, and in this case, he is kind of being talked into doing something he's not wholly comfortable with. But the reason he's not comfortable with it is because he doesn't want to see her, using swords, possibly getting hurt. And it's kind of not his decision to make. If he chooses not to teach her, she's just going to go to someone else like Jurian or Garland or both of them. And he clearly sees women as being fighters. He just doesn't want her specifically to fight, and I think that's kind of cute. That doesn't mean that I think that it's wrong. It doesn't mean that I think that he's doing anything wrong over that he's bad or whatever, etc., etc. I'm not offended or insulted by it. In fact, I think it's adorable, like I said. But just so no one misunderstands me, I don't think manipulation is right. I just understand why she's pushing it. It won't be easy. I wasn't expecting it to be. Claude stares at me for a long time before finally letting out a heavy sigh. Fine, I'll train you. You won't learn in a day, but I can teach you the essentials. You can use one of the knight's training swords. Thank you. Music to my ears. Meet me in the clearing in 10 minutes. 10 minutes? What? You said you wanted to train, so we will. Don't expect me to go easy on you. But aren't you tired? He looked exhausted when he came in, and now he wants to train? Already trying to get out of training? I am not. Claude shakes his head, but he is smiling. I'll see you there in a few minutes, love. Moonlight spills through the leaves, illuminating the forest with gentle light. Long minutes pass, and as I stand in the clearing, I begin to feel restless. It isn't like Claude to be late. Is he tending to his injury? I hear a rustling in the leaves and turn immediately to see what the disturbance is, but the minute I do, I am pulled back by a strong force and my world goes dark. Before I can scream, I hear a gentle voice in my ears. Lesson 1, Lucette. When apprehended by an enemy that you can't see, remain calm and use your 5 sentences. Use your 5 sentences to create an essay to explain to them what they're doing is wrong. Your 5 senses to judge how best to get the upper hand. This voice is coming from right behind me. Claude? I become aware this is the closest he's ever been to me, with my back pressed to his chest like this. Panicking disorients the mind. That is why you must remain cool under any circumstance. How can I not panic? Any normal person would panic. Still, I try to force myself to be calm. Lesson 2. Enemies will often let down their guard when they think they have the upper hand. Catch your opponent off guard by remaining calm and locating his weakness with your senses. I try to calm myself as Claude instructs, and I feel it is a bit easier, but only because I know it is Claude. An opening. I move as quickly as I can, stepping forward so that I can swing an elbow at Claude's stomach. But before that happens, Claude has pulled me back to him, closing whatever distance I had put between us. In the process, he moves his hand from my eyes to my mouth. I can once again see the forest, but my words are muffled beneath his hand. Another thing to remember, you won't always be able to catch your enemy off guard by throwing punches or hits at them. Your opponent will usually always be stronger than you, Lucette. Remember what I said about a weakness. Enemies will often let their guards down when they believe they are winning. Just like I have. An opening? A thought occurs to me as I glance around and then down at Karma's bandaged hand. Karma's bandaged hand is over my mouth. Is this an opportunity or a trick? Did he switch hands when he pulled her back or whatever? Because in the artwork, he had the bandage closer to her chest. So we're gonna assume that's what he did. What will you do, princess? What kind of tactic would remove you from my grasp? Right here, yes. Bite his hand, bite him! I'm going to feel terrible about this, but I have to try. I try to shift my head to get enough space to bite down, and even Claude cannot hold me completely still as I squirm. Eventually the hand is over my mouth, moves just enough for me to open my mouth, but I falter. Eventually, the hand over my mouth moves just enough for me to open my mouth, but I falter. There we go. I cannot bite the hand that I injured. Unable to do anything else, I immediately shake my head and hear Claude groan. In one swift motion, he pushes me down to the ground, pinning my hands by my head as he frowns at me. Oh my. You're not even going to try and find an opening. I glare at him. I am not going to bite your hand. Bite my hand? I didn't even think of that. But you made it obvious. You put your hand over my mouth. I'd meant for you to try moving my hand. Pushing back a person's thumb usually causes their grip to loosen. How was I supposed to know that? Experience is the best means of practice, as they say. Nyeh, 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 nyeh. I have a complaint about that particular lesson, but I withhold it. That was a pretty good attempt, love, but not good enough, I'm afraid. I wasn't expecting you to come at me like that. I was expecting sword practice. You weren't expecting a man to kidnap you in the alleyway, were you? Oh, he mad. I glare up at him, unable to say anything, because he is right. You're oddly quiet. It is hard to find an opening to hurt you when you are not really my enemy. He does not move, but continues to stare at me. His face is close to mine. Close enough to do what exactly? Lucette, do you trust me to protect you? That's not the point. I need to be able to protect myself. Because you're planning on investigating the witches on your own? No, I want to be able to protect myself because I do not want you getting hurt protecting me. Claude leans down and I can feel his hair at my cheek. For a few moments, everything slows to a stop and all I can hear is my heartbeat and his slow breathing. Once you set your mind to something, you don't let go, do you? Claude pulls away from me before I can respond. He's standing again, offering me a hand. Let's get started with some sword work then. The pleasant smile is back on his face. I can never tell what he's thinking at times like these. What are you really like, Claude? Alrighty. I'm going to end things there. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Once again, I am Bacon, and this so far has been the Cinderella phenomenon. I surprisingly did not have a lot to rant about this time. It was a very cute chapter. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to like the video, and if you liked me, feel free to subscribe, comment, share, all that lovely stuff. And I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye!